Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another podcast of tonight's episode of Let's Talk Tuesdays. We are in for a treat tonight. We have a special guest. But first, I want to just give you a little bit of background about our organization, Another Woman's Story. Our organization is designed to help women not only continue the conversation around domestic violence and dispel some of the myths that are connected, but our goal is also to, in addition to having those conversations, to provide a safe space, a safe place, and eventually transitional housing for those women that are affected by domestic violence. So we have a lot of things coming down the road this year. Actually, October is Domestic Violence Month, if you did not know. So we'll have a lot of things in the month of October, in addition to our Let's Talk Tuesdays. For special guests, we'll have some special events, and certainly would like for you all to stay connected. So if you are not already a friend of Another Woman's Story, please follow us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. Please make sure that you connect to us by our website. And certainly, if you're online right now, I see you guys coming in. Please go ahead and start leaving some information in the chat. Tell us where you're chiming in from, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So tonight we have a special guest. Her name just happens to also be Cheryl, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself, about her organization, but more importantly, she's going to share her story. So with that, I would like to bring her on. Her name is Cheryl McWhorter-Featherstone. So hi, Cheryl. How are you tonight?
Hello, I'm feeling fantastic. How are you?
I'm fine. And you're all the way in
I'm in,
Alabama.
yes, Birmingham, Alabama, to be exact.
All right. So she's an hour behind everybody. So just feel free to go ahead and chime in as she's talking. But we're going to have a conversation tonight. I'm going to let her have the floor. Cheryl, if you would just give us a little bit of your background and more importantly, your story, I'm going to remove myself so you can do that. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, hello.
And I actually removed you and not myself.
Okay.
That's
All
what
right.
happens when you have to produce yourself. Okay, let's try that
Okay.
again. All
All
right, go
right.
ahead, Cheryl. Thanks.
All right. There we go. Okay. So, hello, I'm Cheryl McWhorter-Featherstone. I'm founder of No More Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Organization. I started the organization in 2017. And the way No More came about is I had a no more moment. And I'll tell you all about that in my story. But um, so No More became my rallying cry when I was leaving an abusive marriage of 3 years. It developed from no more. That day I was just saying no more. It was on repeat in my head the day that I left my ex-husband. And then I remember telling God that day, if you would just navigate me, and I knew he was going to do it, but God help me in this situation. You know, it's one of those come to Jesus moments. I don't know how to get myself out of this, but if you help me get me out of this situation, it doesn't matter what you ask me to do going forward in the future, I will just flat out do it. But I need you, Lord. So a come to Jesus moment the day that I left, and God spoke to me. I sat on it for a few years actually before I actually did it, even though I made God that promise. But when you promise God something, He's going to get it out of you. And so I remember He pretty much told me He wanted me to tell my story, share my story. And I just would do it for years. That was 2006, March 2006. Walked out of an abusive marriage of 3 years, literally the clothes on my back, my 18-month-old on my hip, and God. That's all I had. And so I made God that promise. Fast forward 10 years later, I decided to share my story on a good friend's his radio show. He was talking about domestic violence, and I had written this song called No More. And so he was talking about it, and I ended up sharing my personal survival story from domestic violence. And so after sharing that, releasing the song, um, one of the local news reporters picked up the story here in Birmingham, Alabama, and um, YWCA ended up calling me in to do this candlelight vigil to sing for it because I was promoting the song, and in promoting the song, I had to also tell my story behind it. You know, why would you write a song that's it's a tribute to victims of domestic violence? So I ended up having to tell my story, and I've been telling it since. It's the most freeing thing in the world. But so no more. My rallying cry. It became a song called "No More." It's available everywhere digital music is sold. It's also one of our fundraisers for the organization, where we go in and we help victims during their no more moment. When they call us and say, hey, help me out of this, that's exactly what we do. We do have a partnership with YWCA, and they always provide places for them to stay. But what we were finding was that when people call us, of course, we talk to them, we pray with them and everything, but a lot of times the women didn't have transportation or a way to get to the shelter that was being provided for them. So No More was born. The organization No More was born. And the first few times that I got a phone call, because after the interview with the um, radio station, the news reporter, the news station, and appearing at these candlelight vigils for victims who had lost their lives that year to domestic violence, I was getting all of these inbox messages about people sharing their story. So I ended up creating a group on Facebook. So No More is just growing, just from one thing to other, from a rally and cry to a song to a Facebook group, support group. That's what we do. We share our stories, and you have to get interest in. It is private. You can just vent. You can just do whatever on there, and we are about 400 strong on that Facebook group. And so I just remember getting all these phone calls and inbox messages. People, had looked my name up and stuff. So I decided to do something with it. And so it has grown into not only something that was on repeat in my head the day that I finally left. It was also, the song that was written as a dedication to victims of domestic violence. And then it became a Facebook group, pretty much um, support group for one another, for victims. And from there, God gave me this amazing idea. I had a good friend of mine. He said, it's not just a good idea. He said, that's a God idea. And so I started the calendar of domestic violence survivors. And so not only do we work with victims, when they call us, we raise money by selling these calendars, by selling the 99-cent down, I think, no, it's $1.29 download for the song. So we were, acquiring funds that way to help them. But initially I was paying out of my pocket, and personal funds, a Uber here, a taxi, bus fare, because a lot of times the victims weren't from that town. And so started generating funds with the calendar project. And with that, the calendar project actually created a whole nother support group. Of course, they were all in the group, Facebook group, but they also told their stories. And so every year we have 12 amazing women. This is the first calendar ever. It was released in 2019, and we've been doing it since. This is the first 12, and just amazing women of all different types of backgrounds, careers, you name it, here and every year. And
Wonderful.
so, yes. And so God gave me this amazing idea, and we tell our stories and we glam you up. We glam you up, whatever theme. We do themes too. We make it fun. We're not a bunch of Debbie Downers, but they're all speakers in their own right. So we glam you up, and then we tell your story. And
Wow.
these calendars sell for $20. every year, and we sell out, and I have to reorder and reorder and reorder, and it's been a blessing.
That's
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, so some amazing women, and that was 2019. This is 2020. Can you see that?
Yes.
So, calendar of domestic violence survivors. I am in the calendar every year.
Okay.
And I was telling, well, Cheryl, here's the thing. Every year you were telling me, is there a line for it? Yeah, we do get a lot of calls about the calendars. See, I missed December there.
Okay.
I end up being whoever changes their
Oh,
mind.
missed it.
Yeah. So every year I'm just prepared at the photo shoot who changes their mind, because it is scary. It's a big deal to have to, tell your, I guess, your business like that. But yeah, so
Right.
I've been Miss October. I'm whatever is needed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the first year. The
Now
first
these are
year,
all residents of Alabama.
no, they're
Because you
from.
need me. I'm thinking you need me in one of the
Yes,
counties.
we definitely need you. So we got the 2022 calendar coming out because we have to start this project like a whole year in advance. So we've already done 2022 survivors. We
Wow.
did their photo shoot is March. It's the March last Saturday in March of every year. And so we do this huge photo shoot day. It's fun. We eat.
Oh, that's why I need to be there. I
Yeah,
need to
it's a
be there.
lot, but look, it's a lot of work because we have to do the group photo, then you do the individual, and
Right.
so yeah, so that's me as Miss October and my story.
Wow.
And this is 2021, the current year. So
Okay.
they're going out, but once a calendar girl, always a calendar girl.
Right.
Whatever we're having, you're always invited.
Oh,
You can,
wow.
because look at this. Whatever month you choose, Cheryl, you're gonna always be that Miss whatever for that
That's
year.
right. That's right. Even if it's in
Yeah.
my own environment, right?
Yeah. So whatever, say for what month would you prefer if you for
October.
2020?
I would always, that's my birthday month. I will always like
Yeah.
October.
So you would be Miss October 2023. I
Yes.
hope that's the invitation right there. I'm putting you on
There
the
it
spot.
is. I'm
Yeah.
coming.
So you're Miss October 2023. You will always be Miss October 2023.
Yeah.
No one else has that spot.
Well, I
And
want that
so
spot.
yeah, you got it. I'm gonna put your name down. I'll be shooting you some information.
Very good.
And
I'm in. I'm
it's
in.
look, it's cost free to you, and we use the best photographers. I mean, he is absolute. This is one of my favorite shots. Everybody, we make sure we get a glam shot.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's our Miss July. What month is this? This is August. So that's me. I decided I wanted to be like a superwoman that year.
Okay.
So I was Miss October again. So we
Right.
have problems with our Miss October. They don't show up sometimes.
Oh, well,
So
that would be me. I would show up.
come on now. So
So
but
I have
20
some questions for you. I have some questions
oh,
because
I'm sorry because I'm rambling.
that's okay. I'm glad you
Okay.
went from the rooter to the tutor, but I'm going to
Okay.
back you up a little bit because
Okay.
one of the things that is awesome about being a survivor is, like you said, when you come out, you tell your story, you help other women to come out as well, or you
Yes.
help them to be able to tell their story. Because I think
Yes.
that what for a lot of us, what helped us get out is to know that somebody else went through the same thing and they got out. We can
Yes.
look at them, we can glean from their life, we can know that there is happiness, there is relationship, there is
Yes.
peace on the other side of that. And I
Yes.
think that it's really important that not only do we show them the other side, but I want to back up a little bit,
Okay.
as tragic, painful as it might be, because I think that part of getting out is going through. And so I
Yes.
want to talk about the going through part for you
Okay.
because it's really important that you tell. I know you told part of your story, but really to kind of, if you will, share some light on what that looked like. Did it start when you first got married? Did you notice any signs? So those are the kind of things I try to ask people just so people that are listening can chime in and say that was me or that is me. Um,
Yes.
so did you guys date? Did you have a short dating period? How did the relationship begin?
So we actually dated 3 years. And
Okay.
what's so amazing about my story is that during the dating period, I did not, I can't honestly say that I saw signs. Well, the signs that I saw, they were not directed towards me. I'll put
Okay.
it that way. I saw there were some anger issues, but during the dating period, they were never directed towards me. One incident that really stands out for me is while we were dating, he got extremely angry with his aunt one day. I mean, cursed her out. So in my family, aunts are like your mama, like you, it's
Yeah.
just almost like, you're talking to your mama. So I'm like, why did you like do that? Right. And he just kind of went off on the deep end, and she pretty much had exposed him to something that I wasn't aware of. I didn't know that he was a diabetic.
Okay.
And so when his aunt just so lovingly said to him, um, well, how are you doing with your sugar? Like that or whatever. He went off.
Is
But
it
I remember,
because you were there? Why did it?
I think so. And what
Okay.
she didn't realize was that he had not told me, but we had been dating maybe like a year, at least a year, over a year. And so she probably just naturally assumed I knew, and I
Yeah.
didn't. So that's how I found out he was a diabetic. And so he
So
just
you thought that was isolated. Did you think he just got mad at her? You didn't think he would ever turn this towards you? Or
right.
okay.
That's correct. And so I saw him, and I've seen him get angry with guys or whatever, and you know, short temper. Like he just didn't play. I just thought he was just tough and just. But the one incident that really disturbed me and it stayed on my mind was the one with the aunt. How badly he cursed his aunt out. That was one.
Okay.
And um, and I can't say we never really argued. He just while we were dating, we never honestly argued. He just kind of we got along. That's why I thought we could be a great married couple.
Okay.
He just went
So
along with what I said, and I went along with what he said most of the time. We just really nice each other.
so where was the first incident? What was the first thing?
The very first time was exactly 7 days, 1 week after our wedding day. We had gone on a honeymoon for, part few days. We got married one Saturday. Our friends were getting married the following Saturday, so we had to come back from the honeymoon, pretty much. And so we came back and we attended the wedding of our friends who were, their date was the following date after ours. At the wedding, um, at the wedding reception, the bride attended Alabama State University, and he knew the groom. So I knew the bride, he knew the groom. So it was a lot of people in the room that we both knew. He got up and he was mingling and everything. And I was sitting down initially. So apparently, when he got back to the table where we were, I had gotten up because I had seen some people I knew. So I'm just mingling. And he got really upset because he could not find me. Got real upset. So when he finally found me, he was like, "Hey, where are you? Where'd you go?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just over there talking to you,
Right.
like that." So he was just really angry and like, "Let's go, let's go." I'm like, "Why? Like we're having a good time. What's wrong?" And so we got in the car, and there was a relative of his. When I tell the story, I never reveal the person's name. Had ridden to the wedding with us, seated in the back seat, and that's when he like grabbed my hair. You know, he was driving, but he grabbed my hair and was still screaming and angry. And so I'm like, just in total shock. And I
And the
remember,
person in the back, what is that person doing?
okay, so that person was saying, it was a female. I have to, because I'm about to say
Okay.
she. I try not to do that either, but it's so hard. So she was like, "Stop!" She was a relative of his, so
Right.
she was trying to get him to stop, trying to get his hand out of my hair. And he was taking my head, and kind of, he's tall,
Taking it.
tall,
Yeah.
yeah, and so he, had my head and kind of banging it against the
See.
window. Yeah,
Oh
no
wow.
window. Yeah, he
And
had long arms, tall guy, 6'5", 235. And so when we got to a red light, this is downtown Birmingham, I just jumped out. I just got out the car. He stopped. So I got out the car, and it was like at dusk, it was getting dark. And it's a lot of homeless people downtown Birmingham. So it was my choice was I'm fixing to get out of this car and be out here by myself. And there's this homeless guy like right here. No offense to homeless people. I just, it was just a scary moment. And I didn't know, really where I was. I was new to Birmingham, I had not long moved to Birmingham. And so my choice was stay here, get back in the car. So he was, he had stopped the car, pulled over, and was hollering, screaming, telling me to get back in the car. Got back in the car, it starts all up again. The female in the back seat was trying to get him to stop, lane. Just drive, you gonna kill us, like that. So it was just, we dropped her off, and it just kept going. It just kept going all the way home. I was just
Were
in.
you afraid in that moment, or were you just
Yeah, because I
mad?
was like, who are you? I don't
Okay,
know where this person came from. And I still don't know what upset him so badly. I was talking to a variety of people. It was women and men. I went to Bama State, and there was a lot of people there from Bama State. They didn't know that we were arguing or fighting or what happened once we got in the car. He kind of held it, except for when we were walking out, he was just, visibly angry and cursing and, you know, I don't know if anybody knew it was directed towards me or not, but we got in the car and I'm just like confused.
so
So
you
that
get
was
to the house. He's still trying to hit you at that point, or he was hitting you at that point.
no, but did just some really silly things in the car, like he was gonna wreck it. He was driving fast and angry and just scaring me even more. It
Right.
was it was a scary night. And I will admit I did try to fight him back. And at one moment I was like, well, you know what, we'll just die tonight. So when I started fighting back,
Right.
and I didn't care about how the car was going because I'm like, this is a long ways home. So I'm not just gonna sit here and take this. So I just kind of got out of my mind and I was fighting back, and that settled him down when I started
Right.
acting out. But I had taken a lot to that point. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna die today, let's just die. I'm gonna die fighting, and so that's what I did. And it made him stop.
So you get home. He was apologetic, or you guys just never talked about it again.
By the time we got home, he was apologetic. He was.
Did he? And he just said, "I'm sorry for going off. This just was."
Yep.
And you thought,
And so when everything simmered down, I'm fatigued. We had just gotten off a flight, got to our friend's
right.
wedding, and I was just exhausted and was like, what is wrong with you? So I let that slide, just too tired to
Yeah.
go anywhere, do anything. And we just didn't talk about it until the
Okay.
next time he got angry. And then it just felt like every weekend I was, having to fight physically or defend myself. And he clearly would start it. Like he'll find something to be angry about. So I don't know what it was about.
So
Mind you, at the time I was a school principal. I was working with incarcerated youth of Alabama. So that population of students, I thought I was hiding it. And lo and behold, when I came out with my story, had a former student who inboxed me and said, hey, we knew all along. Because kids like that, they've seen
they
that
already
kind
know.
of
They
stuff.
pick up.
Yeah,
They've seen it.
yeah.
Okay. So what was so you had children or a child with him? You had
One
kids together.
son. Mm-hmm.
And
I
how
missed.
was he during the pregnancy? Was he that way during the pregnancy as well?
Okay, so my first pregnancy, I did miscarry, and there was a really terrible fight like a week before I miscarried, and I really feel like that it contributed to it. I was just stressed. He was not nice. But
Okay.
my second pregnancy was a breeze. Like,
Okay.
but the first one, that was September of 2016 of 2006, the same year that I married, and I lost that baby. Yeah,
So you guys were still you were
and
physical the whole time. You guys were together pretty much.
pretty much. Like 7 days later, it was on. Yeah, it was terrible. And we didn't have a good honeymoon either. It wasn't great. I didn't
Oh,
enjoy it. He enjoyed himself. I didn't enjoy myself.
why?
Okay, so we went to Las Vegas, and he and his family, they love the casino. It's just something that they did. They would drive over to Mississippi all the time for the casinos. It wasn't my thing, except I love the shows. I'm into music, so I
Right.
love live bands, and at the time I drank a little, and so we just really worked together. He stayed on the machines. He could play every game in the casino because he grew up with that, right? And he was the one who picked Las Vegas. Had I known it was going to be like that for him, like we just weren't together during the honeymoon.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was like one place, he was another place. I was into the shows, he was into everything that the casino had to offer, like
Okay.
gambling.
So, and I'm asking questions all over because my mind is just going in a lot of directions. So,
That's
pardon me
fine.
if
Yeah.
I'm jumping all over the place and interrupting because I want to get some questions answered. Um, when you were dating him, were
Mhm.
there friends or family on either side that said this isn't a good idea?
So even though no incidents had happened yet, my family didn't like him from the beginning.
Why?
And
Did they
my
say why?
friends, okay, so I thought my family was being really snooty. And I thought my friends were being really snooty because I had a degree, he didn't.
Okay.
And that was their hang up with him. So I was like, well, my dad worked on the railroad. He didn't have a degree. So I just didn't want to be this snooty woman and like I got to be restricted to a man who has a degree. He could get a degree, right? And he had some credits in college. He had played college baseball, and but he didn't finish. Busted knee and ended up not finishing, college at all. Just went and played sports and didn't do his work, lost
Right.
a scholarship, that kind of thing. And so while we were dating, he was saying he'll go back and finish. He had like about 2 more years that he needed to complete. And
So
I
they
thought
didn't like him. Why? Did they say why?
they said they didn't think we matched. They didn't think it was so many reasons. They just,
Okay.
yeah, but mostly it was the degree thing.
Okay. So that's the reason why you said, oh, that's not it. Like
Yeah,
they're just
I was
okay.
defending him. Yeah,
Right.
I was defending him, but he wasn't. There was no abuse at that point. I
Right.
think they
So
just saw something.
okay, so the marriage happened, you guys had one child that you lost, and then you had another child.
Yes. So
Uh,
when I had that miscarriage, I actually left for about 3 months. I left the marriage the same year that I got married. I got married April of 2003. Yeah. I got married April 2003, and I left him September of 2003. And that was after the miscarriage.
hmm,
And I stayed gone until December. He ended up I saw him New Year's Eve night of that year, and our pastor talked to us. I didn't tell anybody why. Just went home to my mom. Didn't tell anybody why. But I sing, so I was in the choir, and I was expected to sing at watch night. And so he met me outside afterwards, and we talked. And he had my stepsons with them, and I loved them.
right,
He brought two boys into the marriage, and they, asked could they take me out to eat, and I, wasn't going to tell the kids no, but they were with him, and I thought
right.
that was going to be it. And we ended up, because we always had a great time with the boys, and we ended up getting back together
Wow.
after
Okay.
that. So
So you had the
yes,
second son.
he was born the following year, September '04,
Okay.
and I had a beautiful pregnancy. Like he
Okay.
was really nice. And I say that all the time because I was just after losing, my first baby, I was like just determined to just woosah and have a really good pregnancy because I think I was just overly just too stressed too with that first pregnancy and all that I was going through with that. But when I found out I was pregnant, I was just elated, and he was nice. I will say that he was nice
So
for.
it started back up. How long before the honeymoon phase was over, if that's what you want to call that?
Um, my son was born September. We had a huge major fight Thanksgiving of that year, Thanksgiving Day. And to the point that I was literally sitting on my living room couch with a 38 in my lap because he
And
was
what did
threatening.
the argument, how did that start? Why
It
did
was
why did it
it
happen?
was it was Thanksgiving Day, and we were supposed to go over to his mother's for Thanksgiving. And he got up that morning and went somewhere with his brother, and I don't know what we argued about. I was calling him. He was supposed to bring something that I needed. I think I was going to cook. I always cook a meal, at my house, even though
Oh,
we
I did
went
the
to
same thing. Hmm.
and so it was something I needed, and he just didn't come back right away. And I was angry about that. So I said something to him. Mind you, we've gone almost a year with no, any of that physical
Right.
foolishness. And he just, started up to the point he started talking about what all he's going to do to me. So you telling me what you're going to do to me? You've done this before. I went and got my 38 and set it in my lap and was like, "Put your hands on me today." Um, and I literally said, I'm not going to kill you, but you going to actually need a
Some
prosthetic.
assistance. So how did that
And,
end?
and so his brother, who he had been with early that morning, for some reason, he left the door unlocked. And so my brother-in-law just kind of walked in. And when he saw me, he was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Because, I just had 38 in my lap. Well, I was nursing. And my son was asleep, and I knew he would wake up, and he was talking about taking the baby, and he was going to leave me in the house by myself and take the baby, and he was going on over to the house, to his mom's house, and I couldn't come. And so when his brother walked in the door, he walked in the door, and what he saw was me with a 38 in my lap. And so my crazy self, my ex was upstairs saying he was gonna get the baby up, and I got the baby monitor down here. I know any minute he's gonna wake up. My breasts are swelling. You know how it goes, because you gotta feed them when they wake up. And so I was like, if you get him, I'm gonna shoot you, and I mean it, and I mean it, and I just meant it. And so I was kind of waiting for him to come down the stairs. Mind you, he was going to have the baby in his hand, so that wasn't going to work. But praise God, my brother-in-law walked in, ex-brother-in-law walked in. He saw me and he ran upstairs, and I could hear him. He was like, "Man, you don't miss no woman with a baby.
Right.
You
Not a
don't do
brand
that."
new that.
So, he was like, "What's going?" I said, "Your brother said he is going to take my baby, take the baby out, and I'm nursing. I know he needs to, and I didn't pump."
Right.
And I said, so I said, if he comes down here, I'm just gonna shoot him. And I was so crazy.
No,
I mean,
I
I was so
totally get
matter
it.
of fact. I was just kind of really matter of fact. I was like, and I'm just gonna shoot him if he does it. He's not going anywhere with my baby. And so I could hear, my ex-brother-in-law upstairs saying, "Man, come on, let's get out of here, cause leave that baby. Don't bother, do not touch that baby." I could hear him. So he got him out, and they walked past me, and he came down looking real shocked. Because I was just like, I'm not having it. It's just not gonna happen. And so that's
So he left. So they left. They went to Thanksgiving. And I'm sorry if I'm piecing it. So
yeah.
I'm leaning in for the story. They
So he
went
left.
to Thanksgiving. He went to the
Uh-huh.
mom's house, your mother-in-law,
Yeah.
ex-mother-in-law's house. When he came back
So
home, what was that? Did things escalate from that point, or how did
uh-uh.
that?
Nope, I didn't bring it back. My point was, don't take my baby, and I meant that.
So
So now,
when did it start back up?
after that, um, I think after that is when he just decided he was gonna be here in the house, but he wasn't gonna help me do anything. So he had lost his job, and I was still, it was time for me to go back to work. And I remember he said he wasn't going to take the baby to daycare or he wasn't gonna or pick him up or do anything. So it was all on me. And I realized I'm living like a single woman without anybody in here, like literally, you
Right.
know. And so getting up, going to work every morning, taking the baby, my job allowed me to go back and forth to the daycare so I could nurse, because for some reason I could not pump. It just wouldn't work. So I had to nurse my
Wow.
baby. And so we lived like that for a little while. And um, there would be stretches of time in between, and all of that during that time. It wasn't just physical, of course. It was emotional and mental, and he just played a lot of games, mind games.
So his
And
family never once checked in to say, we're going to help you
yeah,
out. They I know
so
they
I would,
know brother, they had to have known. The cousin, I'm sure at some point said something. Like
yes.
nobody came in to say, Cheryl, this is not
So
good,
I
or
used to call I used to call his mom all the time, and I thought she could talk to him. And until one day he cursed her out, like called her out of her name, and I was like, oh my God. So if you curse your mom out, like I'm literally nothing to you. So that was the first. I didn't know, that he cursed his mom out like that. He just over the phone. I heard him. He was like, "B, stay out of my business." I'm like, "That's your mom." So the in my head, I was like, "Okay, so if you do your mom like that, like I'm literally nothing to you."
right,
And so I remember one time I decided to call his dad, and his dad he said, I tell you what, he said, don't call me. He said, call the police on him. He does it again, call the police on him. So, it'll be stretches, it'll be months at a time before anything happen again. And so that particular time, I took his dad's advice and I called the police. And that was March 29th, 2006. And that day, I had gotten home from work. And when you're dealing with an abuser like that, I was making sure everything was perfect. Like, so he wouldn't have any reason to be angry to go off, right?
right.
So this day, I was my son was in his high chair. Dinner was ready. I couldn't think of anything that was wrong, right? House stayed clean. And so one thing that he would do, and I thought this was so evil. Um, Whenever I realized that the house phone, I had a house phone back then, the house phone would come up missing, my cell phone would come up missing, my keys would come up missing. He's hidden things so that he could, it could be a fight. And so I had become accustomed to just dropping to my knees, when I knew, because he was like, that particular day, he was like, so you think you perfect, right? Because he could not find anything wrong with
Right.
anything,
He
right?
was probably agitated that everything was in order.
Couldn't find anything, man. So he was like, so you think you perfect? And I was like, nah. And I knew where it was going. And I couldn't find, when I looked and couldn't find any of the house phones, the cordless phones, couldn't find my cell, couldn't find the keys, because that was a pattern of his. I said, yeah. So I dropped to my knees, literally on my knees, because it had stopped him before this particular day. It didn't. He literally tried to pull me off my knees. Something just came over me. And I said, I am getting out of here today. And, just talking to God, I was like, God, you got to get me out of this today. I got to go. And so when he was trying to pull me up off my knees, I let him. But when I got up on my feet, I wasn't going to leave without my baby. So I had to go by him. I got up, got my son out of the high chair, and I had to pass by him again. And I remember he was just kind of standing there, and it was as if he was just frozen. And he just watched me. All I remember is his eyes, and his head was just moving and watching me, because I got up with determination and just did this and went there, and I was out. Literally had to pass by him twice. And so that I could get my son, then I had to get out of here. And I walked out with um, a robe, um, house shoes, my 18-month-old on my hip, and God. And
Police never showed.
Okay, so I don't know to this day who called the police, but by the time at that time there were only three streets in my neighborhood. So that's the first street that the subdivision was on. We lived on the second street. So by the time I had walked down to the first street, the sheriff came up and he said someone called and said there's a woman walking with a baby, looking kind of distraught. He said, that's probably you, isn't it? I said, yep, that would probably be me. Then he looked at me and he recognized me. He said, ma'am, 'cause they've been called before. So he said, ma'am, you got to get out of this. I
Let
said,
me ask you
sir.
this. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. So, so the police had called you. You had called the police before.
Yeah,
What was their response? What was their response when they came out?
you need
Because
a friend.
one of the things that we're working on is to get communication. It's almost like the police are ignorant to domestic violence.
Yeah.
They're ignorant to what that whole dynamic is. And
Well,
so tell me what happened.
so I don't know if it was orchestrated or what, but there was a certain friend of his because he was a college athlete. There was a certain friend of his that worked our area. He was a sheriff, and he was the one who would always come out prior to this particular day, this incident. And so his friend didn't come out, didn't come to the call. I found out after I filed for divorce and pressed charges and everything that those write-ups never occurred.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
yeah. So it was a childhood friend, and they ended up because the lawyer that I had, she just went berserk and she wanted me to sue Jefferson County. And but I want to tell you this, they at that particular day, it wasn't his friend who came out. It was um it was a man that I actually knew from my job because I told you I worked with incarcerated youth of Alabama. And
Right.
so before they erected a fence at my job, the girls would get out. I worked, they were incarcerated girls. They would get out sometimes and run. So we would have to work. I was a school principal. I would have to work with the local, law
Oh,
enforcement, which was the sheriff. So I knew him from that too. He wasn't working his regular shift because he's day shift. He was working evening afternoons that day. And so he recognized me from that and from the calls at the house too. He knew who I was.
right.
I was the principal there and that I lived here and had domestic violence calls coming from my house. And so I told him that day, I said, sir, I said, if you would let me go back to my house, get some things for my baby, some clothes, I said, you will never have to come to this location, this address for me about this ever again. That was my no more moment. And
Right.
so he didn't put me in the car. He just, rode beside me and he called. And I don't know if you know this, but whenever there's a domestic violence call for law enforcement, they call in a lot of backup. So there were a line of cars, sheriff cars outside my door. When I got back, I noticed that my ex-husband's truck door was ajar. So he must have seen the police because we kind of live up on a hill and you could look down to the first street. And he took off running on foot, right? And so they had me standing outside. They went all through the house looking for him, all on the back, and they said, I think you're safe to go in there. So they had one policeman to stay downstairs, one went up there with me to get clothes. I just grabbed as much as I could. And another thing I knew, I don't know, I just knew one day it was going to come. I was going to have to get out of there. Every time I would go to Walmart by myself, I would have an extra set of keys made. So I
Mm.
had them hidden all over the house. Like in this particular night, I got the keys out of because he would take my keys, my cell phone, everything. He had left my cell phone when he ran. I saw my cell phone like as soon as I walked in the house, but he still had my keys. But what he didn't know was that I was making keys and planting them everywhere all over the house anyway. So I had some in jacket pockets. I think I unzipped my sofa pillow and had some in there. And so I had keys. Didn't have my wallet, and because he had that. So I ended up, I didn't have any money. And the police, they, after I got out and got clothes in, I was just going back and forth and putting the clothes in. They they stayed the entire time. I locked up the house, and he still didn't show up. They closed his, truck door and everything. They said he must have run off. Don't worry about him. We just want to get you out. And so I told him that my plan was to go to Montgomery to my mother's house, and I wasn't coming back. And so they ended up putting gas in my Yukon. Now this is 2006, and I don't know if you remember when
Girl,
gas was like $4.
right,
So
right.
gas, I know they pumped at least $60. I was on empty, and so but they purchased the gas and they trailed me. We live about 10 miles from the interstate, 10, 12 miles from the interstate, and so he trailed me all the way till I got on the interstate on 65. He said, "You have no reason to stop. Just keep going," like that. And that's what he did. That's what I did.
That was
And
all orchestrated. You know that, right?
God did that. Yeah. And I know it was, I know it was, I know it's the Holy Spirit just holding him in place. I should not have gotten by him twice. He was,
No,
yeah, 6'5", 235, looked like he could pick up a ball and play any day. Still in shape,
all of that was orchestrated. All
Yeah,
of
that,
that was God's divine presence and
yeah,
favor.
yeah,
And it's meant for you to continue because of that.
yeah, absolutely.
Because you have to know, and I know that you do, about how many people did not make it the first time past their spouse or
And I
significant.
sing, right, I sing at
Certainly not
those
two or three times.
vigils every year. I
Yep,
sing at those candlelight vigils every year. So I
yep,
absolutely know that they don't all make it,
yep.
but I made it.
You did, and you have a story to tell, and somebody's listening that's going to hear your story and know that they can make it too. And
Yes, God, you can.
that part, that part. And so it's so funny when you talk about running out with nothing left, running out with and grabbing whatever you have. And there, I often tell people about, we talk about thrifting and going to Goodwill and things like that. And here in Georgia, they actually have the domestic violence shelters will pick up things that you have, small household goods and things like that. And so I often tell people, I know it's wonderful to take things to Goodwill, but when you consider, and certainly because I've been there, to have to leave with nothing, and
Yeah,
yes, I can go to a Goodwill or a thrift store, but if I don't have any money, can you consider the domestic violence shelter pickup first? Because those women are given those items. And you
yeah,
may think, I have these sheets, I don't use these sheets, pillowcases, whatever those things are. You might have 3 plates, but they may have a single mother with 2 kids. You have no idea when you have nothing
yeah,
how something as simple as maybe a Falcons tumbler could be a flower vase for your new apartment. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's just when I think about that, when I think about just leaving and I think about not having transportation or not having the money for transportation, and you are dependent on the people who cross your path to help in some kind of way.
yeah,
The police didn't have to do that. They didn't have to trail you to the interstate. They didn't have to give you the gas. They could have said, of course, we didn't have Cash App or whatever at that point, but I'm just saying they could have just said, we got you safe and that's kind of it. We're closing the case. We're going back to the next crime or whatever it is. But every person, no matter whether they're in that situation or not, could encounter somebody. And what do? You just give, even if you get them to point B, that is enough to give them enough grace, and somebody will be at point B to take
yeah,
them to C. It's like, can you just be aware and help somebody out?
yeah,
And so I just thank God when I hear, you know, for me, of course, it's always personal when I hear stories like that. But for people that don't know what it's like, that's
yeah,
why I ask the details. That's why I ask,
Yeah.
let's talk about how that actually went,
Yeah.
because you're talking about when police don't always help. That was
Yes.
definitely orchestrated by God.
Yes.
I mean, they just do not help. And a lot
They
of times
did.
that's why I asked about the communication, because a lot of times they come out, and this is now in process, just like dealing with patients that are mentally ill, as
Mhm.
they're starting to roll out this training so that police officers can recognize this person is mentally ill, not necessarily belligerent or not
Yeah.
necessarily combative. They're combative for a reason, right? So in the domestic violence world, it's like a training that they have to understand that when you come to the house, that's wonderful that you're going to a house that there's a situation, right? But when you ask the victim or the person, the woman, to talk about her situation and her husband standing right there, she's not going to say anything.
Mhm.
You can't talk to them both in the same space when you have a domestic violence situation. She will never tell on him. She will never say take him to jail. Now you pull her to the side and you ask her in another room, she will say absolutely, but I don't want to see his face when you take him away, because that threat that he's going to say, I'm coming back to get you.
Yeah.
Your life, you think it's safe? It's not safe. When I get out, it's that kind of thing that helps you to develop this
Yeah.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Is
I'm gonna
the what
destroy
if
you.
right,
Right. Right. And he literally tried to do it. He was like, I'm gonna destroy you. He said, you're gonna lose your job, you're gonna lose his house, you're gonna lose the cars, you're gonna lose your child. He literally tried to do that. And
right,
that's a whole nother story.
right. And that's the part. It's like there's so many layers to just getting out.
Yes.
And yes, you're in danger when you're in the house, but you're in even more danger once you leave the house.
Yeah. And people
Because
always, the question that bothers me the most with people, why don't you just leave? I ask people, just imagine that everything you worked for, everything you owned, you're literally on a whim. Most people are not just going to literally walk away and leave like
right,
that. That's what I was willing to do that day. But my lawyer was like, no, you're not. She's like, no, no, you're gonna get, it's your house, it's your baby. She was like, you're losing nothing. She said, you're not an abuser here. So I had an amazing lawyer, and to the point she was so livid. She wanted, when she found out about, like, the 911 calls were there, but there were no write-ups. And then when they figured out it was this same guy
same
each time.
person.
Yeah. And I just looked up that day. This guy was not working his normal shift, and it went from there. I got the help I needed, because the other guy would just come, yeah, y'all chill out, man, just go sit down, go cool off.
Right.
But he would come, but never wrote anything up. So I don't know if he got fired or transferred, but I never saw him in this area again.
That's just
Hmm. He got in trouble.
I want to know if anybody on the line has any questions, because there's so many things that I can ask her, that I can ask Cheryl. There's so many things that we understand. It's like almost like a secret organization, right? So if you've ever been in a domestic violence situation, um, to me, there are signs that you just know. I don't have to, if I see a couple, I don't even have to ask her if she's
Oh
in it,
yeah,
because you feel it, you
it's
can
in their
watch.
eyes.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can watch, you can see it.
you can. I know them right off. It's crazy. And I
Yep,
just want to say, you could just leave. But it's not their time. That's why it has to be
it
your
has, yes,
personal no more moment. And that's why these calendars are full of no more moments. We tell the story. What was your final straw? And
yep.
that was, yeah.
And we have a slogan. Ours is one and done.
Mm.
So the first time that you hit me, first time that you abuse me, I'm one and done. I'm out. If
Yeah.
I've already been hit, the very next time you hit me, that's it. I'm out. And it has to be one and done. That's That's our line.
Yeah.
And so it is so important that women understand that it's when, or people really, when you talk about domestic violence, and like you said, people ask you, why didn't you just leave?
Yeah.
The average departure is 7 times
That's right.
before they actually just say, I'm out.
Yeah.
And for me, it was not even for me, it was for my kids.
Hmm.
I didn't want my kids to deal with it. How
Yeah,
I
and
felt
that
like
was a
I was the strong person, I don't know, but I didn't want my kids. That was my motivation. It's
yeah.
like you don't even you're not even in it anymore. It's like you stepped outside of yourself to deal with your situation, but when you see your kids being affected, now mama bear kicks in and now I'm out of here. It's
Yeah.
almost like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's uh it's a blessing that you're out. So tell us how we can get in touch with you. Tell us
Yeah.
what you guys are doing next. Um, tell us more about No More DV or Abuse.
Yes. So, if you like to contact us, we are at no more dv or abuse.org. You can also contact us at no more dv or abuse at gmail.com. Um, and let's see. Please download the song. Every time you download that song, it's $1 towards helping a victim of abuse have her no more moment. We help them out of that.
Can they
Um,
go to the website and download?
let's see, is it on there? It's not on there. It is not, but it's available everywhere digital music is sold. So if you type
Okay.
in no more Cheryl McWhorter, no more, it should come up. It's available Amazon, iTunes, just you name it, just with
And the
whomever
name of the
you have
song is
account.
No More.
It's called No More. And
Would you like to sing some of it?
oh, sure, I don't mind at all.
All right.
Yeah, hey, why not? But
Okay.
so let's see. I know I wrote the song. It's so crazy, and I know other songwriters. So I'm pulling up the words because
Help
if you not
yourself.
sung a song,
We
if
don't know
you
the
not
words, so we're gonna listen.
yeah. So let's see. I just want to have them. Just it's just I don't think I need them, but just in case I don't want to get stuck and be like I don't know what else to say because that has actually happened before. I'm so embarrassed by it.
Don't
But yeah.
worry about it.
Okay. So it starts. I've been talking so much. Let me. Where's this song? So I know. Okay, I might have to just go for it without it. Ah, come on, Cheryl.
You can find it.
Okay, so it goes. How did I get here? What did I do? Do I deserve this? Where's my breakthrough? And God, I know you hear me and you see what I go through. This mess I got myself in, only you can undo. No, no, no more. No, no, no more. So that's a little bit
So,
of it.
yes. Wonderful.
Thank you.
I am going to download it. I'm going to download it.
Yes,
I
thank
am
you.
excited for you. So in October, I would like, well, two things. In October, we both know this is Domestic Violence Month. It
Mhm.
happens to be my birthday month, but
Yes.
October is Domestic Violence Month, and I would like I'm gonna do a lot of things in October, so I certainly would like for you to come back on and perform the song.
Yes.
And
Thank
so I have to just figure out which we'll talk offline, but I need to
Okay.
figure out the dates and all that stuff, whatever's available
Sure.
for you, because I want to
Awesome.
do some more podcasts and I want to do some people I know that do physical like yoga and stuff like that. So I've got a
Okay.
whole thing planned for October, but certainly
Yeah.
I would love for you to come back and perform that song. What is next for No More Domestic Violence or
So
Abuse? What's
yes.
your next event?
So we do a calendar release every year. Normally it's the Saturday before the first, October 1st. So it's the last Saturday of September. This year, just because my calendar is crazy, the pandemic has thrown so many things off. It looks like we got to move the date to the last, no, October 23rd is going to be the release date of the 2022 calendar of domestic violence survivors. So we do a calendar release party. I hope you can come over for it.
Yay! Is it
Yes,
not? Is it virtual? Is it live? Is it
it's in person. I don't know if we're
okay?
actually going to be able to do it because last year we ended up having to do it in December because of the pandemic. They couldn't. The people weren't there to do the calendar and make the calendar that we normally send it off to. So it was just a disaster. But we did pull it off. We got this calendar done
Okay.
for the year. That's the 2021. And so hopefully we'll be able to release 2022. Just kind of, we're supposed to be sending it off tomorrow. It's not ready. So we definitely gonna have it released October 23rd, but I will consider doing that online, honestly.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
don't you consider doing it live? But I want you to, well, we'll keep in touch. I already know we're going to
Yeah.
keep in touch so that
Yes.
I want to put it on our page. I want to help you
Yes.
advertise whatever I can
Yes.
do because you're right next door. You're like
Yeah.
my sister with the same
I
name.
know. Thank you,
So,
Stanley, for introducing us. I
yes,
want to say
Stanley, we
that.
have
I
to
don't
give
know if
some
he's on.
kudos to Stanley. He might not be on, but Stanley,
Such
I
a
did
deep
talk to him
Reese.
today. Yes, I
Yes,
talked
I
to him today.
love him.
But I would like to make sure that we stay connected, and I certainly will put up whatever events you have so that we can
Okay.
partner up and
All right.
maybe even do something at some point together. So I really
Yes.
appreciate you coming on as a guest.
Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much.
listen, one
Yes,
more
ma'am.
thing I wanted. So we do these monthly, it's called Another New Day live consignment series, and we sell clothes that have been worn once or not at all. These are amazing deals from first ladies and socialites and fashionistas from all around the Southeast, Mississippi, Georgia, Birmingham, news reporters. We get their pieces that they've only worn like once or not at all,
Okay.
and we sell them. And that's one of our monthly fundraisers that keeps funds in the No More account so that we can continue to help victims get
So
out.
where can people? So they need to go to the website. Let me put
Yes,
that back up. So the
yes,
go to the website and find out more information about that.
yes. Another New Day is the name of it, and you can also done from my Facebook page, Cheryl McWhorter-Featherstone.
Okay.
Facebook page. We were doing it first or third Saturdays. My Saturdays are just blown up. I don't know if I told you, my husband is running for mayor of his hometown
Hold
because
on. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. We
God
did
is.
not talk about the fact that you got married after, huh?
Yeah, I know that's right.
You
So
got married
yes,
and he's running for mayor?
he
What
is
in
running.
the earth? Oh my God.
He's running for mayor of his hometown. That's Indianola, Mississippi, and it's
Wow.
looking really good. And I'm so proud of him. He is just, yeah, he is so supportive. Like this is how it's supposed to be. Like I'm like, God, thank you. It's such a transition. It's like this is
Wonderful.
how marriage is supposed to be.
Okay,
And
so let
so
me ask you this. So do you guys have to move to Mississippi?
yes,
Can you?
I will be. I'm gonna move to Mississippi. He's already there. He lives there. That was
Okay.
part of the plan when I first met him because he has my mother-in-law. She's not sickly or anything. He was just
She's
like
just
my
getting
mom is
older.
in her 80s. Yeah, she's like in her 80s, and so I don't want her there by herself. His dad passed like a year before I met him, and so when I met him, that's what he was doing. He was going to be moving back. I fell in love with the town. It is the most picturesque town you have ever seen. Like I stare at the bayous. I'm not used to them. I'm from Alabama, so we didn't have that. Excuse me. But there are so many places. Like you can just choose a place and just it's a great place for pictures. It's just a beautiful
Wow.
town. About 13,000 people. And his dad was part of the civil rights movement there. He was
Wow.
yeah, he was an assistant to Fannie Lou Hamer. That was his
Wow.
first job, his dad's first job right out of college. And so his family is really well known. They civil rights activists, and my husband just kind of took the mantle, and he does a lot of things, he,
Wonderful.
yeah. And so he's running for mayor. He's running for mayor.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
we're gonna
amazing.
have to celebrate that because when will he know?
October 12th is the election.
Oh,
Yes. So
wow.
my
Wow, wow, wow.
Saturdays are like eating up. So I don't know. We do these sales and they're monthly, but I'm unable to say that they're first Saturdays anymore. And then I got a son. My son plays baseball. He's phenomenal. I think we're believing God for a scholarship. But
Okay.
and so he plays baseball year round. And so it's just eating up my Saturdays. So we're trying to figure out what weekday people will participate. It's a fun show though. It's live. I'm the host, and sometimes people are like, well, let's see it on you. So I try it on, and model it if it's not too small.
Well,
and
I need
it's
you to tell me about, let me know when the dates are because I want
yes,
to. If it's on a weekend, I certainly want to come up. And if it's on a weekday, I need to just plan so I can work from there. But I
yes.
want to come. So let me
Okay.
know so I can let everybody know. And I have a few friends that do thrifting. And so I know
Yes.
they would be interested in coming
Well,
because you're so close.
it's Facebook Live, and we mail everything because we started this during the pandemic, so we don't let anybody come to the location, but we
Okay.
mail everything. And so, say for instance, if you buy 5 things and um, you just tack on five, if you buy 5 different things, we bag up, we'll ship the whole 5 items in one bag, and you
Okay.
just tack on whatever your bill is. You just add $5 for postage, but they're
Wow.
great deals. We don't have anything over $50. And I'm talking about St. John. These are some huge name brand things.
Okay.
Of course, Michael Kors, just you name it, we got it.
Oh,
And
wow.
a lot of them are boutique pieces. I don't know if I told you, I sing, I recorded before, so I get booked. And my stylist flat out hates when I repeat myself and wear something. I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
but yeah, I'm not A-listing like that. So you can't expect me. And some stuff I just love it. And I'll be like, I want to wear that again. But but no. So I put it in the sale. I've literally sung in it for like, an hour, one time, one night, and then you get it. And I paid $200-300, you get it for 40, you know.
Wow.
So it's a great deal. And a lot of it, they're boutique pieces. We even had a boutique to donate her entire clearance. She gives it to us every month. So a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
stuff, yeah, that's her donation. That's how she contributes to No More. So a lot of
Sounds like some ladies from Georgia need to do a little spring trip. Well,
yes,
now we're in the summer and head on over to Alabama to
right.
figure out what's going on.
Or if you are cleaning out your closet and you are a fashionista, folks are always talking about, oh, you look great like that. Hey, we need your stuff.
Wow.
We
Okay.
need your stuff. And we will come get it. We will
Okay.
even, we'll even clean out your closet for you. We'll
What?
organize your closet.
You
Yep.
can come over to my house. We can start with
You
me. I
got
have some
stuff.
things to be organized.
Yeah. And look, we love it when people have lost a lot of weight and then they want to give us their old things because they're
Oh,
never going to be that
wow.
size again. We will take it.
Well, the next time you're in Georgia, you let me know, and I can get some girlfriends, and we can get together, and we'll have some stuff for you.
Wow, thank you. And then we
Yeah.
sell it, and then that's how we're able to help victims of
Yep.
domestic violence. Yeah.
I have some friends that I know would be willing to put some things together.
Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Cheryl, it's been a pleasure. I am going to pull you off the screen for just a moment. We'll
Okay.
talk offline, so hang tight, okay? Thank you
Got it.
again so much for
You're
coming. Everyone,
welcome.
please go to her website, go to her Facebook page, and
Yes, please.
ask to be a part of that. She said that you can join by just contacting her organization. I'm so excited I can't even talk. Contact her organization, send her an email, but certainly reach out to her. If you have any clothing, feel free
Yes.
to either let her know directly. If you know me personally, you can let me know. You can send us information. You guys know how to get in touch with us, but certainly if you need to contact me or contact her, feel free to do that, and let's help each other out. Okay,
Yes.
Cheryl, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to pull
Thank
you off for
you.
just a moment, and I'll be right there.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
This was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to speak with someone who is not in Georgia, but actually um, is doing some work in Alabama for her organization. Again, that was Cheryl McWhorter, and we just had a wonderful conversation. As always, it's so important, ladies. If you are in a domestic violence situation, if you need help, please, please reach out to the domestic violence hotline. They're available 24/7. Their number is listed there on the screen, 800-799-SAFE. To contact me, you can go to my website, which is anotherwomanstory.com. We have Instagram, also at Another Woman's Story. Our Facebook page, if you're currently on that, is Another Woman's Story. Please feel free to share this podcast, share it with your friends, share it with your loved ones. We also can be found on Spotify if you look under Another Woman's Story. We do our best to try to spread the word and try to share so that you all can be in a safe space and be in a safe place. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out. But we just want to let you know that we love you. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we save one life at a time, one woman at a time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care. Bye bye.